For a few hundred years, before there were wires or a bank on every corner, the wealth of a trading house could ride on a single man it would not see again for a year. He was the factor, the agent sent abroad, Lisbon, Aleppo, Canton. He bought and sold in the house's name, with the house's money, an ocean away from anyone who could stop him. And he carried one document that made the whole thing possible, a letter of credit. It said, in effect, honor this man's drafts up to this sum, and not a coin beyond. We tell this as a story about trust, the far-flung agent, the bond of honor, the loyal man who could have run with a fortune and didn't. It's a good story. It's the wrong one. Because the house never ran on the factor's loyalty. Loyalty is a thing that can be turned by a bad season, a better offer, a long enough distance from home. The house ran on the letter. The factor could draw against the line. He could not widen it. And that one asymmetry, draw down, never up, is the whole of it. Notice where the safety actually lived, not in the man's character, which could change, in the letter's arithmetic, which could not. He could spend what was granted. He could not grant himself more. An authority that can enlarge itself is not an authority at all. It is the throne wearing a servant's coat. The factor was safe to send precisely because the one thing he could never do was write himself a longer letter. And notice when the safety was set, not in the heat of the deal, not argued on the dock at Canton with the cargo waiting. The line was drawn before he sailed, at the house, in the quiet, months ahead of the moment it would bind. You cannot set a man's limit in the hour you need him to honor it. The bound is decided before the voyage, or it is not decided at all. There is a second thing the story leaves out, and it is the quieter half. When the factor's draft came back across the sea, the house did not write and ask him how much of the line was left. They did not take his word for the balance. They opened their own book and counted. Every draw he had made, re-derived from the record by a clerk who had never met him. The factor held no authoritative number. He couldn't, because a number only he keeps is a number you have to trust him for. The balance was something the house could recompute from a record anyone in the house could replay. So it needed no keeper and no faith. That is the difference between a number you are told and a number you can rederive. One asks for trust, the other makes trust unnecessary. Now, we are about to hand our money to a new kind of factor, faster, tireless, acting for us across distances we cannot watch, making 1,000 small decisions while we sleep. And the old temptation is back, dressed in new words. Make the agent smart, make it aligned, then trust it with the purse. The older way is harder, and it is better. Do not send an agent you trust. Send one carrying a letter it cannot widen, a limit set before it acts that it can draw against and never rewrite. And do not ask it how much is left. Keep the account yourself, re-derivable from the record, So the balance is something anyone can check and no one has to be believed about. Do that, and the agent's character stops mattering. You are not trusting a servant, you are honoring a line to the line and not a coin beyond. So the question to ask of anything you would hand your purse to is not, is it loyal? Loyalty can be turned. The question is colder, and it is the only one that holds. Could it ever draw more than the line allowed, or write itself a longer letter? If yes, you have a servant you must trust. If no, you have a letter that does the work, and the man becomes optional. The line was drawn on the dock. That is exactly what made it safe to sail. Enforcement precedes execution. Draw the line before the voyage. This is not commentary. It is category formation.